This is A. Somaya, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, I am going to discuss about surface tension, capillarity, pressure, various types of pressures, and compressible and incompressible flows. Surface tension is defined as the tensile force acting on the surface of a liquid in contact with a gas or on the surface between two immiscible liquids such that the contact surface behaves like a membrane under tension. So here, if you observe the various molecules, the molecule A is located here, another molecule is located here, B is over here. If you take another molecule, C will be here, and so many molecules will be placed like this. So, but if you consider a molecule A, this is located between so many molecules. But around this molecule A, there will be surrounding molecules. So, which will attract due to coercive forces. It will attract. It will apply some force, and the same force will be balanced by another opposite the surrounding molecule, so that the net force applied on a molecule A becomes 0. Otherwise, this molecule A can be considered as under equilibrium. So, if the molecules will be like this, then this is under equilibrium. But if you consider the molecule B and another molecule, say D, it is like this. So, some more molecules will be placed like this. So, in these cases, the molecules which are located at the surface, so yeah, there is no upper molecule. Otherwise, there is no molecule above it to apply the force. Otherwise, if the force is applied by surrounding downward molecules, is like this. But it should be counteracted by another molecule in opposite direction. But there is no molecule in opposite direction. Therefore, the net effect is this molecule at the surface with net downward force will be acting. So therefore, all such molecules will be forming as a membrane under tension. So like this. So the surface tension means the tensile force acting on a surface of a fluid in contact with the air. So inside liquid, on the above it there is a air. So between two immiscible fluids, the membrane will be acting as a tension member. So such type of phenomena is known as surface tension. So surface tension is generally denoted by a sigma, and its units are Newton per meter. Force upon unit length. Force upon unit length is surface tension unit, Newton per meter, and it is denoted by sigma. So if you consider the surface tension in various cases, the surface tension on a liquid droplet. So if you consider this case, you have to consider a spherical shaped liquid droplet. So if it is cut into, assume that it is cut into two halves. So here on the circumference there is a tension force due to surface tension. So it will be acting like this on the entire circumference, and there will be pressure force. Pressure force will act inside of the control volume always. Therefore, the pressure force will be acting inside of the droplet. So these two forces for a equilibrium condition will be equated, so that you will get the surface tension acting on a liquid droplet. So here we will see, first of all, the radius, we have to consider a spherical droplet of radius r. On the entire surface of the droplet, the tensile force due to surface tension will be acting. Let sigma is surface tension of the liquid, and P is the pressure intensity inside the droplet in excess of the outside pressure intensity, where d is the dia of the droplet. See, now there are two forces. The one force is acting due to surface tension, another force is acting due to pressure. So the tensile force due to surface tension acting around the circumference of the cut portion, it can be taken as sigma into circumference, where sigma is surface tension. Circumference is equals to 5d, sigma into 5d. This is the force due to surface tension, otherwise tensile force which is acting on the circumference of the droplet. Next, the pressure force on the area P by 5 by 4 d square is equals to P into 5 by 4 d square. So where pressure is force upon unit area, but if I need a force due to pressure, that equals to P into 5 by 4 d square. Now, for a equilibrium condition, we have to equate the equation 1 and 2. So, we will get P into 5 by 4 d square is equals to sigma into 5d. So, here sigma into 5d and this is P into 5 by 4 d square. Here you can cancel 5d and here 5d. Then you will get after simplification P equals to 4 sigma by d. So, where P is equals to 4 sigma by d. This is a pressure due to the liquid droplet surface tension. If you need a surface tension, sigma equals to Pd by 4 Newton per meter. This is a unit. So like this, you can find out different parameters from a P equals to 4 sigma by 4 sigma by d. So in the case of liquid droplet, if you observe the P equals to 4 sigma by d, so as the diameter d decreases, then the pressure will be increases. So vice versa. So these are inversely proportional. So therefore, we have to remember the liquid surface tension due to the over a liquid droplet is equals to Pd by 4. So now we will see another case, a hollow bubble. So in this hollow bubble or soap bubble, the member will be in contact with air inside and outside. Therefore, there are two contact points for a surface member. So elastic member, otherwise a member under tension. So that is in contact of air inside and as well as air in outside. So therefore, 2 times you have to multiply. So this is a surface tension. Those two surfaces are subjected to surface tension. In such case, we have tension force due to surface tension sigma into 5d. So as we know, the force due to surface tension is sigma into circumference is 5d, but so the member is in contact of air in either side. So therefore, it should be multiplied with 2. Therefore, 2 sigma 5d. So this should be equated with the pressure force, where we have P equals to pressure force due to pressure is P into 5 by 4 d square. So if these two equations are equated, then we will get P into 5 by 4 d square is equals to 2 into sigma 5d. So after simplification, we will have P equals to 8 sigma by d. So from this, sigma equals to Pd by 8. The surface tension of a soap bubble, so is equals to sigma equals to Pd by 8. So similarly, here also there is a relationship between pressure and diameter. So as diameter increases, pressure decreases, or diameter decreases, pressure will be increasing. So the another case is that surface tension on a liquid jet. So liquid jet, here we have considered a liquid jet of length L and diameter d. Okay, then if it is assumed to be cut into 2 halves, the surface tension will be acting on over a length. So this is L, another L is this. So on 2L, L plus L, on 2L, the surface tension is acting. So now here we will see what is the surface force due to surface tension is acting and what is the force due to pressure is acting. So in case of the liquid jet, the area becomes this is D and L. So therefore, pressure force becomes pressure into force due to pressure. Force due to pressure is equals to P into L into D. So here we have to remember that area is L into D. Consider a liquid jet of diameter D and length L. So we know the P is the pressure intensity inside the liquid jet. Similarly, sigma is surface tension and force due to pressure is P into LD, as we have discussed now. Now force due to surface tension. So force due to surface tension is sigma into 2L. So if you go back to previous slide, so on 2L it is acting. Surface tension is acting on both the lengths. Therefore, force due to tensile force due to surface tension is sigma into 2L. So these two forces should be equated for a equilibrium condition. So that we will get P equals to 2 sigma by D Newton per meter square. So this is a from this case we can write surface tension is equals to PD by 2 Newton per meter for a case of liquid jet. So these are the three equations how the surface tension will be acting on different cases, like a liquid droplet, and another one is soap bubble. The another case is the liquid jet. So due to surface tension only, while the droplet is falling from certain height, will be acquiring the spherical shape. So this is a case of different cases of surface tension. Now we'll see some examples, the numerical examples of surface tension in different cases. The surface tension of water in contact with the air at 20 degrees centigrade is 0.0725 Newton per meter. The pressure inside a droplet of water is 0.02 Newton per cm square greater than the outside pressure. Calculate the diameter of the droplet of water. So here the surface tension in the case of liquid droplet, the surface tension of water in contact of air. So the in liquid droplet, the equation we have derived is P equals to 4 sigma by D, or sigma equals to PD by 4. So whatever you want, you can determine from this. So here surface tension is given as 0.0725. So where sigma is 0.0725 Newton per meter in SI unit. So the pressure inside a droplet of water is 2. P equals to 0.02 Newton per cm square. Otherwise multiply with the 10 power 4, then you will get in Newton per meter square. So this is greater than to the outside pressure. Now what you have to do is you have to determine the diameter of the droplet. What will be the diameter of the droplet? So where D equals to 4 sigma by P. D equals to 4 sigma by P. If you substitute the above values, then you will get the diameter of a droplet. So now we will see the answer. So as we have discussed, these are the various parameters given. So and the diameter can be calculated as 1.45 mm. Now another problem, find the surface tension in a soap bubble of 40 mm diameter when the inside pressure is 2.5 Newton per meter square above the atmospheric pressure. Here we have to calculate the sigma. So what will be the sigma? Sigma how much? So for the given diameter, see, so bubble, the diameter is 40 mm into 10 power minus 3 meters. Okay. Now pressure is P equals to 2.5 Newton per meter square. So these are on SI units. Yeah, what you need is sigma. So it is acting on a soap bubble. The surface tension in the case of soap bubble, that is taken as P equals to 8 sigma by D. So where sigma equals to PD by 8. So here the values are 2.5 into 40 into 10 power minus 3 by 8. Then we will get sigma. So now we will see the answer. 0.0125 is the surface tension due to a soap bubble. Surface tension acting on a soap bubble. So as this is a soap bubble, then we have to consider sigma equals to PD by 8. So after submission, we will get 0.0125 Newton per meter. So now another problem. The pressure outside the droplet of water of diameter 0.04 mm is 10.32 Newton per cm square. So calculate the pressure within the droplet if surface tension is given as 0.0725 Newton per meter of water. Here pressure outside is given as 10.32 into 10 power 4 Newton per meter square. But the diameter is 0.04 into 10 power minus 3 meters. Okay, calculate the pressure within the droplet. What will be the pressure inside? Inside pressure, if the surface tension is sigma equals to 0.0725 Newton per meter. So if this is a phenomena, now for this, how do you calculate the pressure inside? The pressure inside will be equal to the sum of So outside pressure, it should be the how much of greater than to the outside pressure is inside pressure. Outside pressure plus the pressure acting inside the droplet, that gives the total pressure. So now we have to find out PT. PT is total pressure. So for finding out that, we have to calculate first of all what is the pressure acting inside. So pressure acting inside, due to surface tension on a water droplet, P equals to 4 sigma by D. So from this we have to calculate the pressure acting inside. So it should be added with 10.32 Newton for into 10 power 4 Newton per meter square. Then you will get total pressure. So this is how do you calculate total pressure is. Here we see various parameters as per the problem we have noted down here. So converted into SI units. Here we are calculating the pressure inside of the droplet according to the formula 4 sigma by D. So what is that? 0.725 Newton per cm square or 7250 Newton per meter square. So but outside pressure is given as 10.32. So if you sum up this, then you will get 11.045 Newton per cm square. So this is the answer. How do you get the total pressure? Now we'll see the capillarity. So capillarity is defined as a phenomenon of rise or fall of a liquid surface in a small tube relative to the adjacent general level of liquid when the tube is held vertically in the liquid. So the rise of liquid surface is known as capillary rise, while the fall of the liquid surface is known as capillary depression. So the capillarity nothing but whenever we try to dip a narrow tube into the liquid, into a liquid surface. So whenever it is under tank or in a bowl, so immediately we can find that if you dip a piezometer, then immediately the water will be rising in the tube. So that rise of water level in the tube is greater than or lower than to the surface level. So this is a general surface level. So this is general surface level. Whenever I am dipping this narrow tube into the liquid, immediately the liquid will rise or fall. So in a that is due to the properties of a liquid in a tank. So but here the rise of liquid level in a tube whenever we dip it into a liquid. So the rise, this H is known as capillary rise. If it is falling than general level, then that particular thing is known as capillary depression. So this is lower than to the general level. This is greater than to the general level. Therefore, capillary rise and capillary depression. So the concavity and the convex shapes, they will take place due to cohesive and adhesive forces. If the fluid particles have the predominant cohesive forces, then they will take a convex shape like this. Otherwise, if the forces are adhesive, then they will attract to the other particles also. Then the shape will be taken as a shallow tape. Otherwise, concave shape will be like this. So that is based on the property predominant forces possessed by that particular liquid. Okay. So in general, for water, the theta will be 0. Theta will be 0, but whenever if you take for mercury, so the angle will be around 130 degrees. So this is after taking the cohesive forces or adhesive forces into account, you can observe the shape. What is the shape we are taking, whether it is perfectly horizontal, otherwise concave or convex. Based on this, the angle theta can be determined. So here we can see what is capillary rise and capillary depression, how H is varying. So based on the fluid properties and the radius. So this is 2r or diameter of the tube which we are going to dip into the liquid. So now here you can see the H can be described as 2 sigma into cos theta by WR. So where sigma is surface tension and theta, we know after dipping into the tank or into the liquid, we can find out the theta. Now W is a specific weight where R is the radius of the tube. So this is a radius of tube. So the value of contact angle theta for water and glass is equal to 0, and for mercury and glass is about 130 degrees. So this is about capillarity. Now we'll see pressure and different types of pressures. So whenever the pressure is measured at 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin, then that is called as absolute zero pressure. So this bottommost line, this is absolute zero pressure. Now from here, with the help of a barometer, I am measuring the pressure at sea level. So that is known as atmospheric pressure. So local barometric pressure, or this is atmospheric pressure. So at sea level, but from the sea level, so above sea level at a certain point A, so if you measure the pressure at that point, that is greater than to the atmospheric pressure. So the such pressure is known as gauge pressure. Point A is gauge pressure, but I am trying to find out the pressure below the atmospheric pressure line somewhere here at point B. So the point B is known as vacuum pressure. So whenever the pressure below that of atmospheric pressure will be called as vacuum pressure, and if it is above the atmospheric pressure, that is known as gauge pressure. In general, under normal temperature and pressure condition, the pressure exerted by the air on all objects is known as atmospheric pressure. So but if you try to fill the air into a balloon, if you try to fill the air into volleyball or football, etc., that will be considered as a gauge pressure. So that the pressure is greater than to the atmosphere. Mechanically, forcibly, we are filling the air into such type of objects. So therefore, that can be measured with the help of a mechanical gauge. So that type of pressure is known as gauge pressure. In case of vacuum pressure, this is lower than to the atmospheric pressure. Unless we create a vacuum, so the water can't be sucked from a lower level to the higher level in case of centrifugal pumps. So similarly, unless we create the vacuum inside of mouth, we can't suck the liquids with the help of straw from one point to another point. This is due to difference of pressure only. The liquid will be transferred from one point to another point. Wherever the pressure is low, the liquid will transfer from lower pressure to higher pressure. So that is creation of suction, otherwise vacuum. Whenever if you create a pressure lower than to the atmospheric pressure, so another point is at atmosphere, otherwise greater than to atmosphere, then there is a flow will be taking place. So this is about vacuum pressure and gauge pressure, then absolute zero pressure. The atmospheric air exerts a normal pressure upon all surfaces with which it is in contact, and it is known as atmospheric pressure. The atmospheric pressure varies with the altitude, and it can be measured by means of barometer. So as such, it is also called the barometric pressure. At sea level, under normal conditions, the equivalent values of the atmospheric pressure are 1.01325 bar or 1.03 kilogram force per cm square, or 10.3 meters of water, or 76 centimeter of mercury. At atmospheric conditions, at NTP conditions, the atmospheric pressure can be considered as 1.01325 bars or into 10 power 5 pascals, Newton per meter square. This is the atmospheric pressure in general we consider. So if the pressure is greater than to this, that is called as gauge pressure. Above how much of pressure is greater than to this value, and how much of is lower than to this, that is also can be measured by with the help of vacuum gauges. They are also mechanical gauges. Now here the fluid pressure may be measured with respect to any arbitrary datum. So the two most common datums used are absolute zero pressure and local atmospheric pressure. So when pressure is measured above absolute zero, it is called an absolute pressure. When it is measured either above or below atmospheric pressure as a datum, it is called as a gauge pressure. This is because practically all pressure gauges read zero when open to the atmosphere, and read only the difference between the pressure of the fluid to which they are connected and the atmospheric pressure. If the pressure of a fluid is below atmospheric pressure, it is designated as vacuum pressure or suction pressure or negative gauge pressure. and its gauge value is the amount by which it is below that of atmospheric pressure. A gauge which measures vacuum pressure is known as vacuum gauge. So here there are two types. One is gauge to measure the gauge pressure, another gauge to measure the vacuum gauge. So these two are mechanical gauges only, but the working principle is different. One is to measure the gauge pressure, means which is above the atmospheric pressure. Another gauge is to measure the vacuum, which is how much of below to the atmospheric pressure. So these two will be working like this. So if it is 0, so then here the indicator will be starting like this. At 0, the pressure will be 1, 2, 3 and so on up to 10 bar, you say. Okay, so this 0 indicates atmospheric pressure. So above which how much of the pressure is greater than to the atmosphere will be indicated by this gauge, and the pointer will be moving in a clockwise direction in this way. So but in case of vacuum gauge, the 0 will be taken over here. So and this is considered as P atmosphere. How much of lower than to this will be moving in anti-clockwise direction, and so here this will be read in mm of Hg. So this is how much of lower than to the atmospheric pressure in counterclockwise direction it moves. This measures P vacuum or vacuum pressure. This measures P gauge. So how much of greater than to the atmospheric pressure. This is a difference between the vacuum and gauge. How much of greater than to the atmosphere, how much of lower than to the atmospheric pressure. All values of absolute pressure are positive, since in the case of fluids, the lowest absolute pressure which can possibly exist corresponds to absolute 0 or complete vacuum. However, gauge pressures are positive if they are above that of the atmosphere and negative if they are vacuum pressures. So, but the absolute pressure can be expressed with respect to the atmospheric pressure and gauge pressure. And similarly, absolute pressure is nothing but the sum of atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. Similarly, the same absolute pressure can be expressed in terms of vacuum pressure, atmospheric pressure minus vacuum pressure. So therefore here we can write P absolute is equals to atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. Similarly, absolute pressure also can be defined as P atmospheric pressure minus vacuum, P vacuum. So how much of lower than to the vacuum. So absolute pressure measured in both the ways, in gauge pressure, in terms of vacuum pressure also. Now the vapor pressure. So vapor pressure means, so during evaporation, the water will be trying to, under normal temperature pressure conditions, the temperature of boiling temperature of a water will be 100 degrees centigrade. But by using some means upon the surface of a liquid, if you reduce the pressure, then boiling point also will vary. So but under normal conditions, what happens if you gradually starts boiling, so the liquid starts evaporating from, otherwise it transforms its phase from one phase to another phase. So while transforming like that, the water bubbles, air bubbles will be forming, and these will be moving from one place to another place. So they will be carried from low pressure to high pressure area, and there they will be collapsing. So and this type of bubbles will be forming and evaporating. So all the evaporated molecules will be occupying the space above the liquid surface, and in between the liquid surface and the top of the vessel. So like this, the vapors will be accumulated in that space between liquid and top of the vessel. The accumulated vapors, ejected vapors from the liquid during boiling, will apply some pressure, will apply some partial pressure on a liquid surface. So that pressure is known as vapor pressure. So during boiling, you can find out this vapor pressure, the pressure exerted by the vapors on the surface of a liquid, so is known as vapor pressure. Okay, so all liquids possess a tendency to evaporate or vaporize. So while changing from liquid to gaseous state, such vaporization occurs because of continuous escaping of the molecules through the free liquid surface. When the liquid is confined in a closed vessel, the ejected vapor molecules get accumulated in the space between the free liquid surface and top of the vessel. So in between this gap, they will be occupying and they will be applying the pressure. This accumulated vapor of the liquid exerts a partial pressure, and this is also known as vapor pressure. Okay, as molecular activity increases with the temperature, vapor pressure of the liquid also increases with the temperature. With temperature, so the molecular activity will get increased. If in any flow system, the pressure at any point in the fluid, in the liquid, approaches the vapor pressure, vaporization of liquid starts, resulting in the pockets of dissolved gases and vapors. The bubbles of vapor thus formed are carried by the flowing liquid into a region of high pressure where they collapse, giving rise to high impact pressure. Okay, the pressure developed by the collapsing bubbles is so high that the material from the adjoining boundaries gets eroded and cavities are formed on them. This phenomenon is known as cavitation. So, cavitation is nothing but due to the formation of bubbles, and they will be carrying from one point to another pressure point. So, at high pressure point, they will be collapsing. During collapsing, they will be disturbing the internal surface of the material which is in contact. It may be pipe or it may be bowl, whatever it is. So while they are collapsing, they will erode the material gradually. So this erosion is known as cavitation. So always the vapor pressure is associated with the cavitation, because this includes formation of bubbles and movement of bubbles and collapsing of the bubbles takes place. So therefore, the cavitation is involved with the vapor pressure. So compressible flow. In general, the compressible flow is nothing but the density will vary for compressible fluids. For compressible liquids, the density will be varying from point to point. So such type of flow is otherwise fluids are known as compressible fluids. So if rho is not constant, if rho is constant, then that is incompressible. But in this case, rho is not constant. That means from point to point, the density will be varying. So is a flow in which the density of the fluid changes from point to point, or in other words, the density is not constant for the fluid. So such type of fluids or such type of flow is known as compressible flow. So density is not constant. Similarly, incompressible flow. In incompressible flow, so the density is constant for a particular. If you observe for any period of time, for the time, if the density, if you get as a constant, then you can call it as compressible. Otherwise, incompressible. If density is constant, it is incompressible. Liquids are generally incompressible, while gases are compressible. Thus, mathematically, we can express rho equals to a constant. If rho is constant, then we can say that is incompressible. Generally, the liquids will be considering as incompressible, and gases may be considered as compressible. So, this is a difference between incompressible and compressible fluids and flows. Okay, these are the references. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.